Do you watch Younger?
I don't.
I watched Younger before I put that on. So
I
I was
just
like, oh, I finished Younger. I was awake for that.
I didn't get in. I couldn't get into it. I don't know why.
Oh my God, I love it. Maybe because it's based in New York, so I have like an extra love for it. But all right, you ready to get started?
Sure. Already recording.
Yep, saw that. All right. I'm gonna count to three in my head and start. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Aaron.
Hello.
I was gonna say hello. Good morning. We're actually filming in the morning for once instead of at dinner time.
Which is why I'm wearing a hat because I didn't want to fix my hair.
So I got my coffee. You know, I'm from New York, so we have to add W's to everything.
Got my coffee.
Drink my coffee while we talk.
About our shows.
So today we're talking about the pilot episodes and maybe a little bit further of One Tree Hill and the OC.
I mean, if you couldn't tell that One Tree Hill was the topic based on my screen.
He had to put up his poster boards.
I know. I
also,
can't help it.
You're wearing your Keith Scott Body Shop sweatshirt, and I'm wearing my Keith Scott Body Shop baseball tee.
Which does not mean we don't think the OC is great or that we're going to bash it. It just means our love for One Tree Hill is stronger.
Plus, I don't think the OC had as much merch as One Tree Hill did.
Yeah, probably not. Which is weird because it was kind of a more successful soap when it started.
Mm-hmm. They both premiered around the same time. They both started in 2003. Mm-hmm. The OC started in the summer, in August.
In August.
And they kind of wrapped up their summer season right before the One Tree Hill premiered.
Correct. One Tree Hill premiered on September 9th, 2003, or September 23rd. Oh my God, how did I get
that?
I
know, blasphemous.
It's because of the 9 is for September, so that's why I was,
okay.
Because I watch the pilot every year on September 23rd.
Oh, you did? That's cute.
Because it's One Tree Hill Day.
That is true. I have seen that online. I'm usually busy.
I make time because I'm a fan.
So originally, I thought the OC was a better show. Just because, okay, I watched both. I did not watch One Tree Hill weekly for like the first maybe 10 episodes.
Well, that's what I typically tell people. If you're going to watch One Tree Hill, it really starts to get good around episode 7 or like
the party episode.
Yeah, it really starts to get good after a few episodes. Like, hang in there.
Yeah. I don't know. Like when the OC premiered, I just thought it was like, because they even promoted it this way as like it was the new 90210. Like we had just lost Dawson's Creek a few months ago. Like I needed a new teen drama, and I didn't even know about One Tree Hill. Like so when I saw the OC, I was like, oh, this is my new teen drama. Hope it makes it. It's on Fox.
Yeah, because Fox was known for canceling shows like really quickly back then.
Yeah. So it was just very glossy. It was set in California. I felt like it was very edgy. It was very like modern. Like I was like, nope, this is gonna be on for 10 seasons. I'm gonna love it. It's the best show ever.
I really thought it would go longer than One Tree Hill. And the fact that One Tree Hill made it to 9 seasons and the OC made it to 4, it's kind of like,
yeah, I guess I was wrong. Huh?
A lot of people was wrong. I would tell people, be like, no, One Tree Hill's going to get canceled. It won't last that long. I'm like, it will be on 9 or 10 years. I feel it because I'm not ready to let the show go. Maybe that was it.
I didn't think it would last that long. I thought it would last at least 5 seasons. I really expected to go 9. Last season was like a surprise renewal. Like that, I did not expect that at all.
I think everyone thought was like it was a surprise. Like they said that season's for the fans because
it was great, and especially season 8 is not my favorite. I actually hate season 8.
I love season 8.
With the exception of maybe a handful. I can like cherry pick a few episodes that I love. I hate season 8. I think it's the most boring season.
No, we're gonna end this. We're gonna end this right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Thanks for joining us for the last 3 podcasts. This is where we are.
This is the series finale. No.
But I thought season 9 redeemed itself. It went a little bit more off the wall and gave me the soap that I needed.
Oh, so, like they knew, they were like, okay, we know we don't have to worry about renewal. We can do whatever we want.
We're ending. We're gonna do what we want.
And I was like, I remember watching that when it first started, that they gave like a little preview of what was happening. And I was just like, oh my God, like I knew it was going to be a good season. And it was.
So going back to the pilot, the OC, like I said, it was very glossy. I love how they shoot when Ryan's in his hometown, like in Chino, how it's kind of grayish, it's a little more dismal. It's very like, depressing. And then when he crosses over into Orange County, it's very bright. There's like, you see the ocean. It's glossy. I keep saying glossy. I just love how it looks. I feel like season 1 has a different look than the other seasons. It's not. It
had a different feel too.
Mm-hmm.
I will say season 1 of the OC to me is better. Like it's season 1, 4, 2, and then 3 is like my order of favorite season 1. Wise with the OC.
I would agree.
I didn't care for season 3 was a little Johnny. Everyone, no one likes Johnny.
That storyline is very controversial in the OC fandom.
He's the Daniel Jonas of the OC.
Yes. I'm not going to have this. We are not going to talk about Daniel in every episode. I'm cutting that off right now. I feel like season 3 of the OC, it started off good for the first few episodes, and then it had like a 10 episode kind of lag in the middle of season 3, and then towards the end with Volchek and Marissa, it kind of picked up again.
I will say One Tree Hill, their season 3 was even sometimes iffy to me. Like
season 3 is my favorite of One Tree Hill.
Really?
That's my favorite.
I like it, but it's when they brought on Pete from Fall Out Boy, and I was like, okay, Peyton's not going to date him.
That was a little like Pete from Fall Out Boy is going to date a high school student. Like, really?
It's funny. I blame season. Like, I love the drink Sunkiss, and I'm not promoting it or anything like that. But One Tree Hill, season 3, if you watch, they have Sunkiss everywhere. Because I think they were a sponsor. Like,
it was hard to miss.
even when they were going into parties, like they were carrying a 12-pack of Sunkiss.
They were wearing Sunkiss shirts, and now we've said Sunkiss so much. Sunkiss, do you want to pay us?
Well, that's one of my favorite drinks. So I think I blame it on like just watching that whole season is just why I love Sunkiss.
Did it make it your favorite drink, or did it kind of kill it for you because it was everywhere?
I love the drinks, and I still love it. But still, I remember going, okay, One Tree Hill is a little much.
They were trying to get renewed. They needed money.
Yeah, because that was the end of the WB. Like that season was, I remember waiting at the end of season 3, like that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And then that was the WB had ended and the CW was coming along. And I think the president of the CW at the time didn't really care for One Tree Hill. Mm-hmm. That was like, will it get renewed? And I remember I was clutching my pearls. Yes, I can say that word. I was just like, oh, come on, renew it. I remember because that was before, you really kind of had all these TV people or like reporters on recovering everything. Like now we have access to almost everything. Then it was kind of still just like, okay, we had to wait till the May upfronts. Like, was it coming back? And I remember waiting like every day checking, like, have they announced anything? Have they announced refresh?
I think around season 3 is when that became like a yearly tradition for me with that show. Like, come on, One Tree Hill, like, pull through.
Because it was,
and every year I was like, yes, and I would text everybody I knew, One Tree Hill got renewed.
I promoted that show so hard. The CW or the WB should have paid me. That's how much I was promoting that show during its entire run. Mm-hmm. Oh, but back to the pilots. Plot twist. After rewatching them, the OC is the better pilot.
I did not see that coming. It's
It's
true, but
had I not rewatched them before this, I would have stood by One Tree Hill being the better pilot. But after rewatching them, I was like, I wanted to watch more OC after watching the pilot.
yes, and I haven't watched the show in forever, and it
like I
kind of made
actually
me want to
stopped.
rewatch the whole
Actually, I
series.
started episode 2, but I've become such an old man that it was getting like 10 o'clock. So I was like, ooh, time for bed.
Same. And we have a time difference, an hour time difference. So I was asleep by 10 o'clock last night.
I mean, I will say I do love the One Tree Hill pilot. That's just because it introduces our characters. But they just seem like different characters in a sense. Peyton is just so moody, like even more so than she typically was. And Nathan is very just mean, like just cruel to be mean.
He is. And he stays like that till around episode 4 or 5. I think he kind of starts to transition in the episode where him and Lucas have to walk home from the game and they're in the woods because they kind of have to bond and work together at that point. But those first 4 episodes, he is a dick.
Yeah. That's being nice.
Was it this episode? I can't remember because sometimes I blur episodes together. Where he tells Peyton, "Call me when you're not so PMS," or was that this episode?
I think I just watched this last night. How am I questioning it? But I do think, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, really?
Yeah, it was. Like,
and with Peyton, I'm like, come on, girl, why are you gonna put up with that? Like, you're pretty.
I remember like Dawson's Creek had just ended. Rest in peace.
They actually mentioned Dawson's Creek in the pilot.
I loved it. I remember hearing that. I was like, oh, because it refreshed me back to that last May. Because I watched that, I watched that show too, and I had to watch it live. And
yeah, me too.
Still coming off the, Jen dying was so hard.
All right, I'm just gonna stop trying spoiler alerting you. You're just gonna do what you want to do.
I am. That's the great thing about me. No, but I remember like finding out about One Tree Hill not long after. It's like, oh, okay, fine. I will still have my teen soap, and it had Chad Montgomery, who the whole reason I watched it, the starting out was him. Like he was just, I thought he was gorgeous. As little 16-year-old Aaron was just like, oh, Chad Montgomery is so.
I think he was the draw for me too because he was the name actor for that show because he had been on other CW shows.
Yeah, like Dawson's Creek, Gilmore Girls.
Originally Gilmore Girls, yeah. So, and I watched both those shows religiously, like every week.
Which
Gilmore Girls not so much towards the end. Like the college years, I would record it and watch it. But the high school years, because I think I was the same age as Rory.
Yeah, you are.
I'm remembering it coming on Thursday nights the first season because I remember me and my grandmother would watch it together. But I'm sure it switched time slots.
It's funny how I remember certain shows are like my cousin Amanda graduated with Dawson's Creek in 2001. Okay. My cousin Kimberly graduated with Rory on Gilmore Girls. I graduated with Clark Kent on Smallville. Like I remember shows based on when people graduated. I should have graduated with the cast of One Tree Hill, but because they did season 1, 2 as like 1 year, it threw them off.
And 3, 4 as another. Yes. Yeah, because like I had when One Tree Hill started, that was technically my first year of college, so I was a freshman, and they were juniors in high school. But by the time the 4th season ended and they did the time jump, we were the same age. Mm-hmm. We were 22 at the same time.
I know. So I still like to pretend they graduated in 2005 and they belong to me. Yeah.
I've seen much debate online in message boards and on podcasts about how old they are at certain points. And I just wanted to like kind of give my timeline of how I follow their ages. So assuming Haley is 18 in season 4 when she gives birth to Jamie, in season 7, in the premiere, they're celebrating his 7th birthday. So we'll say by season 7, they have to be at least 25 years old, 24, 25 years old. Mm-hmm. Then I think in season 8, doesn't he celebrate double digits?
I'm 8 or 9? I know season 7 kind of connects to season 8. So it's like But at the end
But then
of
there's like a
season
mini
A,
time jump at the end because
at the
Brooke is
end,
pregnant. She has the
yeah,
babies.
they
So
go
that's at
in
least
it.
another year.
Mhm.
And I think Jamie celebrates being 10 years old in either 8 or 9. So that would make them 28 by season. Let's just say they're 28 by season 9. Then in the finale, there's another time jump. And if we're lowballing it and we're saying Jamie's 15, just to, you know, that would make them at a minimum 33 years old by the end of the series. So we watched them from like the ages 16, 17 until around 33 years old.
Oh,
Which at the time was much older than I was when the show ended, and now I'm kind of past it.
oh, I'm at the age, so I had that same moment with Full House when I rewatched like the first episode. Uncle Jesse was 24 and I was like 30 something. And I went, I'm older than Uncle Jesse is in this first season of Full House.
Me and my friend Jessica say that about friends when we hear them say, I'm 25, or even like when Rachel was having a meltdown for turning 30.
Oh,
I'm like, we're so far past that. We're older than them.
I know. I'm holding on for like, I always do it like this. People's like, you're in your 30s. I'm like, no, I'm in my early 30s. 30 to 33 is early 30s. 34 to 36 is mid 30s, and 37 to 40. Yeah. They're like, that's not really how. I'm like, that is how it works. Do not question the logic.
Yeah, this year it was a rough year for me and my friends because we're in our mid 30s.
Which is
And
nothing.
then to make it even worse, I'm like, we're closer to 50 than to 20.
It's like we don't even care about the 40s. Now it's like we're in our 30s. So it's like, oh, we're so close to 50. So it's crazy to think about.
But my skin still looks good, I think.
Yeah.
So
well, I was watching, like, as I was watching those pilots, I was just like, man, the early 2000s, such an interesting time. Like the music that you had that little hair flip at the bottom, like,
yeah,
it just brought back memories of when I was just in high school. I'm like,
I always think fashion and hairstyles haven't really changed that much in the last 20 years because
no,
in my head, I just feel like once we got past the 80s big hair, like everything just kind of looked the same. But you can tell like what was in style at certain time periods. I always think the OC in One Tree Hill is kind of timeless as far as the look. But when I see things mostly in the later years with like the T-Mobile Sidekick flip phones, and it's mostly the cell phones. I'm just
when
like, yeah,
Peyton was calling for help, I was just like, man, I remember those phones because back then I hated texting. I think that's why I'm
not. They
not.
weren't smartphones, so
No,
that's a noticeable
had
thing.
to, like, I'd get so upset. I'd be trying to get to the S, and then I'd go back to the what. I'm like, forget it, and I would just call the person. Like, and now I'm like, do you have to call me? Can you not just
even
text
with
that?
flip phones? With flip phones around like 2003 to maybe like 2007 time, when I see them taking pictures on TV shows with those, I'm like, oh, it's such bad quality picture. Like, why would we even be like, oh my god, this picture's so good?
Trying to catch someone doing something sneaky, and then I'm like, the picture is like
pixelated.
Yes, you can't see nothing.
We're like, oh my god, put that on your MySpace. It's so good.
I will say, I do miss flip phones because they were so dramatic. Like you can't end a call, like be pissed off and just be like, "In."
Yeah, no, I just like closing it. I miss doing
that sound of just,
yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Nothing was more dramatic than I just hate that bitch. Close it.
Oh, I wouldn't even hit end. I'd just close it. Sometimes I would throw it too, but it would usually be at my bed or the couch. I wouldn't like throw it on the floor. I wouldn't break my phone. But just that for added punch, I would throw it across the room.
Back then, you could throw your phone; it would probably still survive. If you throw your phone nowadays, it's like, I gotta go to the phone store.
I actually have a funny story now that we're having a podcast about cell phones. So I had the Motorola Razr phone when it was like the hot new thing, 2005-ish. And stupid me, I was in a rush and I put my cell phone on the hood of the car because I was looking for my keys or something, and I forgot about it. And I got in my car and I drove away, and I was like, "Fuck, where's my phone?" And I remembered what I did, and I was like, "Oh my god, where is it?" it must have stayed on the hood of the car for quite a bit because it made it down the road, and it was the screen was all cracked up, and I didn't have money for a new phone, and it still worked for almost 2 years
Yeah, you
after
don't get that
that. Like it
quality
got ran
nowadays.
over, and it still worked.
You don't get that
So
quality nowadays.
I probably should have invested in Motorola stock back then. Because
And
I
this
also used to really like when you turned on a Motorola, how it goes, "Hello, Moto." But let's go back to One Tree Hill and the
okay.
OC.
Here's something I will like. I think the reason why my feelings of the One Tree Hill pilot is different than it used to be is so basketball heavy. Like
Which is what made me not like it as much as the OC
that's I think that's why
initially.
my change was kind of like watching them today, like, oh, nothing against basketball. It's
Mhm.
just it was kind of I don't know.
But it's also kind of the heart of the show, especially in the first 4 or 5 seasons.
Oh yeah, I like it once it later on, but that starting out with basketball was not my thing.
Yeah, it kind of just becomes basketball almost becomes a character in itself in the show,
Mhm.
but it's more like in the background. It's just kind of like the scenery. Like it's not
Mhm.
really terribly important, except for with Nathan's storyline. Because even Lucas quits at one point.
And then he has to quit at one point too because of his
Yeah,
heart condition.
yeah.
Um, but the thing the pilot was missing is just Brooke. Brooke, I
Oh
love Brooke.
yeah, and I always knew that. How did I forget that? I've always known that.
I mean, it's funny. Peyton was my favorite character starting out. I loved Peyton, but once we got to like season 4, season 5, Brooke started to be like really that character's growth just really started to become like Brooke became my favorite character. So much that my dogs are named Brooke Penelope and Sophia Anna after Sophia Bush.
Is
So
Anna Sophia's middle name?
yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
I didn't know that. um, yeah, Brooke is consistently my favorite character from season
Mhm.
one on. I just, to me, she was like the summer character of the One Tree Hill, so I kind of gravitated towards her because I guess
I,
we'll just get to it right now. Summer is my favorite character on the OC.
however, in the pilot, I didn't care for Summer when they just dropped Marissa off and she was drunk, and it's kind of like Summer did, which I guess maybe that's kind of realistic, I guess, in some
This is how
sense.
I know I'm getting older because I'm starting to relate to the adult on the show more than the kids. Like when her friends, first of all, when the friends dropped her off, passed out, I was like, well, that's nice that they brought her home at least. But they were visibly drunk at the party, so I'm like, they drove drunk. And then they just left their friend there to like possibly die from
Uh-huh.
alcohol poisoning. And I'm like, that's so irresponsible. I was like, to be a parent and find your child passed out on the front porch like that. Like, I'm like, oh man, I'm getting old.
Well, then they got back in the car,
Yeah.
clearly still drunk, driving. So yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I'm like,
Um,
oh my
I mean,
god.
I always thought that was a little irresponsible, but now I'm just like, oh my God.
Now, if Marissa would have done it, I would have been like, okay, that makes sense because like her parents aren't the most responsible parents.
And also, Marissa's always drunk or high at
Yeah.
some point.
To tie a little bit more to soaps, Marissa's mom, Melinda Clark, is the daughter of Mickey Horton.
Yeah, John Clark,
Yep.
right? That's his real name.
Hmm. And she actually was on Days of Our Lives for
Mhm.
a handful, some few
A few
episodes.
months. It
Yeah.
wasn't quite a year, but I don't know if the character wasn't successful and they just decided to drop it. I watched a little bit from that timeline. I didn't watch her whole run.
Hmm.
It was interesting to see her so young because it
Yeah.
was around 90, I believe. Oh, I know why I saw part of it because I was watching 1990 episodes of Days from when Bo and Hope came back in 90, and she was on the tail end of that. Like her run
Okay.
was at the tail end. So that's why I got to see some of her. She was actually paired with, I know his name on General Hospital. I can't remember the actor's name. Do you know the character of Rick Lansing on General Hospital?
Now, I know the major players on General Hospital,
Okay.
or he might be
Well,
a major player, and I just don't know him.
he was paired with Julie's grandson, I believe, which would be on the current show Eli's brother, which they never talk about. They should bring that character back so he has a brother. And it would tie him to like, I mean, he is tied to a core family, but it would give him, I don't know, maybe like a talk to or a rivalry. Who knows?
There we go.
Anyway, back to One Tree Hill. Oh, and the OC. We were talking about Melinda Clarke. I'm so thankful to this show for introducing me to Melinda Clarke.
Oh, I know.
She appears in the other shows after the OC, and I just love her. Nikita.
Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries.
She has a thing for playing irresponsible.
She was in Dallas.
She was.
Which is exciting.
But she has a thing for playing she plays the irresponsible mom so well.
Does she do that again?
Vampire Diaries, like she's an awful mother.
See, I mentioned Vampire Diaries also, but like she was only in like 4 episodes over 8 seasons.
Well, that's because she was a bad mom.
I was actually really surprised she was in season 1, and I was actually really surprised they brought her back in season 8. I'm like, wow, that was a long break from the show. But I guess she was available because Nikita was over.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm like recanting my previous statement that Summer is my favorite character, because I really love me some Julie Cooper Nickel.
Well, she's only a guest star at that moment, so.
And so was Summer. They both became regulars at the same time.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Which theme song do you like better?
Don't do this to me. Are we going based on the pilot? Just the pilot, and not the entire.
Well, the pilot doesn't. One Tree Hill doesn't have their theme song in the pilot.
I was gonna make it easy for me. I was gonna be like, well, of course they'll see.
Okay.
But no,
I'll let that one go.
If I had to pick, I'm going to One Tree Hill's pilot, or One Tree Hill's theme song is my favorite. Because I remember the first time I heard it, I went out. This was before streaming. I went out and bought the Gavin DeGraw CD just so I could have the theme song.
It's a hard choice for me too, because the One Tree Hill song, I love it. Have you actually ever seen Gavin DeGraw live?
That's a sensitive subject for me, because every time I've tried to see him, something has happened. Either he's come to Arkansas quite a few times, and every time I've tried to go, either it interfered with something else, or he had to reschedule, and it's a sensitive subject. I have seen him. I have seen Jana Kramer though.
Oh, cool.
And she was like, I remember not liking her, but actually getting to hear her talk and then see her sing in person, like she became like, I love her.
There's this bar not too far away from me. I've never been to it, but I'm assuming it's a larger venue. A lot of, I don't want to like disparage them, I guess lesser known artists sing there. Chris Keller's there all the time. I can't remember his real name.
His name Tyler
Hilton.
And this will age me too. I saw him at a Sam's Goody. He came to a mall in Little Rock. I was 17. My cousin and I missed school for that. I was like, Mom, please let me go see Chris Keller. And she would have came too, but she had to work. Because my mom loves One Tree Hill just as much as I do. But
I got my mom into it. My mom watched both shows. I got her into both shows.
My cousin and I, we stood in line, got our picture with him, got his autograph. He performed a piece of his guitar, like what keeps it shut, the case fell off. He was so far gone. I still have it. Well, I mean, I had no way to give it back to him, and he'd probably just replace it. So I was like, this will mean more to me than I'm sure he knows. So I have it framed, and like I have a T-shirt that has a little raven, and I have it framed in a little like T-shirt like picture frame type thing with it.
That's cute. I've seen Gavin DeGraw. I was actually really lucky to see him twice in like a 4-month span, because I went to a Billy Joel concert and he opened for him.
Well, as Stephanie Pinner would say, pin a rose on your nose. No, I'm
And
just
then I
kidding.
actually saw him at this other venue not too far from me that it was like Trick the way that it was set up. I
Oh,
felt like I was in Trick. I was like, I'm in Tree Hill right now. I don't like
okay.
I'm watching
Well,
Gavin DeGraw, I'm at Trick, like I'm having the best time.
not to one up you, but I'm about to one up you. I've actually
Okay.
been to Tree Hill. I went to Wilmington, North Carolina. It was in between season 5 and season 6. So you know when Peyton like paints all over the river court
Hmm.
like that, I got
Yeah.
to see that.
Oh.
I got to go in clothes over bros because my we were walking by and they were kind of working in some of the I'm not sure who they were, what they were doing. They're kind of like cleaning up or something. And my mom was like, can we please just kind of go in there and look? And he's like, I'm not supposed to let you do. And she's like, please, it's like it was close to my birthday. So she talked our way in there. I got to stand behind the counter at Clothes Over Bros.
Oh,
And
okay.
I got to, I really, if I would have been an awful person, I would have taken that Clothes Over Bros shopping bag, but I'm not that kind of person.
I am.
But I thought about it. I was like, they'll
I would have
just
been like, you
replace
want
it.
that? And then I would have walked out and be like, there you go.
But we went by Lucas's house, Keith's body shop, um, Nathan's house, Brooke's house, because I want, just all over the high where the high school is. Just
Wilmington is still on my bucket list. I definitely want to visit
it's
it,
a
even though I
great.
know the River Court is probably, I think, gone now.
It is
They got-
gone. I went to Wilmington this past summer, and still, I kind of just want to live there. I love Wilmington. I don't know what it is. When the actors talk about the show, they talk about how much they loved Wilmington, and I agree. It's just a really, really nice town. It's like
My
it's a really big town, but it feels like a smaller town.
my boyfriend's sister-in-law is training in North Carolina, and I think she set aside a day or two to go to Wilmington because she loves One Tree Hill too.
Oh,
I
it's
actually got her and her husband, his brother, socks for Christmas, like a couple socks, where at the bottom it says, "If you're reading this, I'm watching One Tree Hill," because
oh,
they love One Tree Hill as much as I do. We kind of bonded
Mhm.
over that, and they rewatch it all the time. And his brother's like really into basketball, so I think that kind of is what hooked him in.
See,
So, and then he stayed for the drama.
speaking of like this is about Dawson's Creek, but you remember the restaurant Dawson's parents owned?
Yes.
Um, went into that restaurant and I was like, here, we have to have lunch. I didn't know how much anything cost or anything. It's kind of expensive. So I got
Well, it's
like
on the water. Anything on the water
yeah.
anywhere is
So
gonna be
I
more
got like the
expensive.
cheapest. I felt so cheap because I was just like, I'm not paying $15 for just a little thing of whatever it was. So I found the cheapest thing I could get just because I wanted to
I'll
eat.
get a coffee
I just wanted to be able to say I've eaten in
and a
Dawson.
side of fries.
So, but I went in the record store too. That is in season 2 that Peyton goes to.
Oh, it's a real record store?
It was. I don't think it is anymore.
Oh, okay.
When I went there, it looked like it was on the blink of closing. It
Um,
did not look as good as it did on the TV show.
so
I've
anyway,
got photos from these trips that I will post on our Instagram and Twitter just so people can kind of see.
oh, that would be
Um,
cool.
yeah, because my also one of the things they did, like they covered up the door to like Clothes Over Bros, but
Hmm.
because they still used a Karen's Cafe type look.
Okay.
So my mom and I have a picture of us standing in
Well, it
front of
became
like that.
Karen's Cafe again at the end of
It
the show.
did, but this
So,
was season 5 and 6, so it was still Clothes Over
oh,
Bros.
right. You went there when the show was
Yeah,
still on.
but they still use that cover as Karen's Cafe. So
Okay, that's cool. Um, so on the OC in the pilot, there was a different Trey, the brother, but his scene was so minimal that like
yeah.
you wouldn't even notice. I know he appears in one more episode, but I think they did a good job recasting him later on.
Oh
They look
yeah.
similar. Um, I remember thinking like because it was like a soap opera on steroids. The first season of the OC is like almost 4 seasons worth of storylines in one,
Yeah.
which is why I think people kind of think the later seasons are less good because they kind of had to take a step back and slow things down if they wanted to last for 10 seasons, which they didn't.
Well,
But
They also added like the second season added some characters that just they didn't give us time to really grow with them.
Yeah.
Since they weren't a hit right off the bat, they just got rid of them.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of sad that what was his name? He also liked comic books. There was a little love triangle with him and Summer and Seth.
In season 2?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
You know,
remember his name, which is
I
weird,
mean,
but
I liked him and Lindsay. I thought they should have stuck around longer, but I also thought Anna should have stuck around longer. Like I don't get why she was just there for one season.
Anna.
She's into season 1. There was the Summer, Anna, Seth kind of little triangle.
Oh, Anna. Wow, she's a big character. How could I forget her?
I know, like you had a moment, you went, huh? Oh yeah.
Because I was thinking about Anna from One Tree Hill, so I wasn't thinking blonde pixie cut. I was thinking
which is our new Crystal on Dynasty.
Yeah.
So it's weird to see
everything together.
It's weird to see her play Anna on One Tree Hill, and then because I didn't. There's something about that character. I didn't like her or Felix really. I feel like they're trying to just throw them in there, and I just really, I think if they
I didn't like how cocky Felix was.
I think that's what it was too. Because I don't dislike the actor or anything. I just that character just.
I think out of the two of them, I could have kept Anna. Like Felix could have been shipped off to like military school or wherever he went, and Anna could have stuck around.
I do.
Just so they could have an LGBTQIA. Did I say all the letters? Plus
just so you don't
character as a regular.
Yeah, that would have been. I would have liked if she would have stuck around. I think I would have liked her better. I think it was just they were kind of like, oh, we don't know what to do. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, she seems to get a lot of hate, I guess, because of the whole her coming between Peyton and Lucas.
That's but, like, the thing.
Once she comes out, like, do people still hate her? Do they see her as a threat still? Like,
I don't know. You can't come between Lucas and Peyton. That will ruin any kind of. As Brooke says, you know, she's when she tells Lindsay, "I've been that person." Can't come between them.
I mean, I wasn't, and I'm not a Peyton and Lucas fan. I'm a Brooke and Lucas fan. I just felt like their chemistry was out of control. I love them.
Well, they were kind of, in love at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, and not to really, talk about actors' personal lives, but they had to work together romantically after they weren't in love.
Which, I mean, props to them because...
Which usually translate into even better chemistry. Like, usually when actors hate each other, not to say that they hated each other, but I feel like it's well documented. It just kind of like exudes great chemistry on screen for some reason.
See, I just thought Brooke and Julian, of all the people she's been with, has been the best.
And then when it became clear that they were never going to go back to Brooke and Lucas, I really liked her and Julian. I especially love her and Julian in season 6.
That's one thing I like about One Tree Hill is, they always say the first time a character meets someone that's kind of like who their potential love interest is. Like, that's why they did it. They did it with Chris Keller, where he first meets Peyton, but actually he comes between Haley and Ethan. Like, when they bring on Julian, you kind of think it's for Peyton to cause problems for Peyton and Lucas, but he ends up getting with Brooke, which I love.
Yeah, they had great chemistry. Even season 7, I still love them. I actually cried when he proposed to her in the season 7 finale. Because I was just so happy for Brooke. I was like, Brooke just needs a happy ending. Like, she's always getting a shaft.
I totally agree. It was about time to see Brooke,
I was like, thank God. Like, something good happened. She has a terrible mother.
Victoria.
But I like I said earlier, I hate season 8. And I hate season 8 and 9 Julian. I just feel like he doesn't have a personality. He's just like Brooke's bitch. He just does whatever she says, doesn't ever want to hurt her feelings, which is good. Like, why would you want to hurt the feelings of somebody you love? But he just, I don't know. I can't stand him in season 8 and 9. But Brooke's my favorite character, so as long as she's happy, and that's who she wants to be.
You're happy? As long as Brooke's happy, I'm happy.
So in the OC and the pilot, I didn't really care for Kirsten.
I was gonna, the other day you kept calling Kristen Demara Kirsten,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe
I
it's
know, and I kept catching myself.
you're
And
getting
now I'm
your
doing it
you're getting
again
your
with this one.
shows flip flopped.
Yeah.
You're getting your Kirsten and Kristen.
Oh, there's too many characters to remember.
Whew.
She was a little, icy in the first few episodes of the show with Ryan.
Well, I mean, she was trying to watch over her son and her family, so I kind of would have been the same too. If my husband brought home someone who had just stolen a car,
Yeah.
and gotten my son into a fight.
Well, definitely out of Sandy and her, she's definitely the more even
Well, I
headed,
think
like logistical person. He's a lawyer, but I feel like he's more spontaneous.
Yeah.
Clearly, he just invited a strange child to live in his house.
That pool house, like, I would have been like, okay, I'm staying.
I always think it's cool and noticeable from the pilot to the second episode. You could tell this was a real house, and then they just replicated it as a set because it just looks like it doesn't look the same, even though it does structurally. It just, I don't know. You could tell they were outside when they were by the pool, and the new one you could tell it's like a green screen.
I mean,
like the blue sky.
On the pilot of One Tree Hill, Lucas's house is completely different than the one we know and love.
It is?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, go back and watch again.
Oh yeah, the front door is different.
Yeah, this house is like green, and that the house in the series is, completely different.
I'll never forget Brooke when she was, I don't remember what season it was, but the first time they referred to her as the girl behind the red door. And in my first apartment, I don't know why, but the bedroom door was painted red, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm like the girl behind the red door."
I I was in a store and saw a picture frame that was a door, so I was like, oh, "Could I?" I think I can. So I got it, got spray paint, and was like, "Shh." I made my own red door. Where I lived, I couldn't paint, so I was like, "No, what? I'm not waiting for my red door to come to me. I'm getting my red door.
I'm gonna make my red door happen."
So that's what I did, and I put my picture. I put my picture with the person I was with at the time in it, and I was like, "There we go. I got my Brooke and Julian moment." Because that's the kind of person I am.
Back to Kirsten. I almost called her Kristen. Wow. I was a little bit more receptive to her because, like I said, I kind of relate to the adults now on the show. And when she kind of made the zinger, like when he was like, "Where are you going?" and she's like, "To put my jewels in the vault or whatever." And then she's like, "Where do you think I'm going?" "To get the boys sheets and towels." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "That's the Kirsten that I know."
Mm-hmm.
The scene where she runs into Jimmy when he's walking the dog, and then Julie kind of pops her head out. I kind of had the thought, like, I just don't see how Jimmy and Julie got together. Like, I feel like Kirsten's more his speed.
Do you see her tracksuit? Like, that was very 2003.
They're coming back.
Oh God,
at least that's what I heard.
Please no.
Yeah, like the juicy sweatsuits.
Crocs came back, and I was like, ooh.
I remember back then when I didn't know what she was saying. When she was like, "Did you get my froyo? Pistachio." I'm like, what is she saying? And now I'm like, oh, frozen yogurt. I guess it was kind of like was it a newer term back then? Because back then I was like, what is she saying? And why is it pistachio?
Oh no.
Because the way she was like pistachio, I was like, is she speaking a different language? Like, does pistachio mean bye?
I lived in a small town.
I'm like, I know it's a flavor. So do you know who the actress that plays Caitlin?
Yes, I do. I can never say her name.
Shailene Woodley.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes on to star in The Secret Life of the American Teenager.
Which let's not talk about that show.
I never watched it.
Oh, it's the acting was very much
Don't.
like um
All right, so I'll
yeah,
skip that one.
Yes.
But I had seen commercials for it while it was on, and when I found out that that was her, I was like, oh wow, she grew up quick.
Yeah.
um
I will say I do like that the parents in these two teen dramas aren't just background characters. Like they seem more involved.
and they have their own storylines,
Whereas,
which isn't always the case.
like I've watched quite a few teen dramas. I'm like, where are your parents? Even at a young age, I'm like, where are your like Pretty Little Liars is a good example. All that's going on. It's like, where are your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or now to know they really there's only two parents on that show that were good parents.
And the other parents were like recurring. They showed up like twice a season.
For just major events.
Where was I gonna say with the parents? Oh, so yeah, they have their own storylines, but in the later seasons, I feel like they start to phase them out, especially with One Tree Hill, because
they become
adults kind of become the adults. But I wanted Karen to stick around.
Yeah, I was really sad Karen Deb kind of did stick around, and I love Nanny Deb.
Yeah, I'm glad she came back for the last season. I was so happy to see her.
Oh, I know.
I've
always liked her.
I wish they would have like just gave her more than like a one episode guest appearance in season 5. Like, how do you end season 4 the way they did, and then she's seeing Dan for the first time since he's gotten out of prison? Like, I just felt like that should have been a story, or at least one more episode, just to see her react to it.
Because we don't see her again after that till
Peyton gives birth in season 6, and she doesn't even speak a line. I don't know if it was edited out, but she's kind of just there as like an extra in that. Isn't she? Does she speak?
I think she does.
I remember them playing music and her holding the baby, and it was just like a flashing scene. I don't actually remember her speaking.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
I was really kind of with One Tree Hill. I thought I was going to miss Lucas and Peyton more than I did. Like, I didn't miss them as much as I thought I would.
After season 6?
But I think it's because Brooke and Haley really stepped up. And then Quinn was such a fun character. You hated Quinn?
I didn't start. By the end I liked her, but I did not like Quinn until the Hangover episode in season 8. That's one of the few episodes I like in season 8.
Wow.
Because I felt like she was fun. Like, that's when I started to come around to her. She cried so much in season 7. I couldn't stand it.
Well, Peyton cried a lot too throughout the whole entire series.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not hating on Peyton whatsoever.
I liked. Okay, so even though I wasn't a big fan of Peyton and Lucas, I was a fan of them individually. Not like I didn't like them as a couple, but I like their individual storylines. Like I loved Peyton and Jake.
Oh, I did too.
Jake Jagelski.
And I think that's why I didn't have a problem when Lucas and Brooke were together, because they gave us Peyton and Jake. I really they fit together so well.
I know.
Like in the revival that I picture in my head, they all come back together because Lucas has died, and then
just killing Lucas off.
They have a reason to come back together, and then that's where Peyton and Jake reconnects. And because I'd rather have Peyton, Haley, and Brooke back together than have a show just about Lucas, because to me the girls from that show really stands out. Like, I love Nathan and Lucas, but Peyton, Haley, and Brooke, I love their friendship.
Yeah.
Which is really why I was really sad when Peyton didn't come back for Brooke's wedding. But there was all that behind the scene drama that we know about now, which I
don't really want to talk about that because I don't either.
I know. I like to think that the actors and other people worked on that show too, and they are what, I still love the show because of the hard work they put into it.
Yeah.
How much they cared. So
So with the pilot, like you know how you said you felt like the characters weren't who you remember them being or who they end up being. With Haley, she was a recast. I think they had
Well,
already shot the pilot. And I've seen the version or the scenes with the original. I don't know how. Is it on the DVD?
I don't think so because I haven't seen it and I'm a fan. But you can see one spot in the pilot where Lucas is in the library with everyone else and he's sitting right next to Reagan, which was the character they recast. Or well, they got
Oh.
rid of Reagan and made her Haley.
Oh.
So if you look, that actress is sitting right next to him, which
Okay. I
makes sense
didn't.
because that was supposed to be his best friend. I'm not sure why they. I mean, it was a better choice. Haley. I don't know the actress. I don't want to say it was a better choice, but I mean, I'm a Haley.
Well, I noticed that Haley's scenes, I guess, were shot separate. So
Mhm.
she doesn't really interact with anybody but Lucas in the pilot. Even the basketball scene, they kind of just do like a one-off like clip to make her look like she's in the crowd because she wasn't in the crowd for
Yeah.
the basketball game. I wonder if the original Haley was
Here's a
or
little.
Reagan. Was Reagan the character's name and they changed it to Haley? Oh, okay. I thought
I,
you were saying the actress's name.
oh no! I don't know the actress's name. I just
Oh, okay.
like I don't know why.
I think I do, and for some reason in my head, there was an actress that played Mimi on Days for a week before
Oh,
Farrah Fawcett took over, and I think it's her, but I'm not sure.
oh man, that's
I
so.
may have made that up in my head.
I believe you.
They might have similar names, and I just made that up in my head. I don't know, but I'll have to look that up, and I'll get back to you.
I do know Haley was blonde. So when she first got cast, so they made her dye her hair because they don't like
Okay.
a blonde girl. A little side knowledge too. You know that street that Peyton drives really fast on past the river court?
Yes.
That's not a street. There's not a street there.
Oh, okay.
That's totally TV
Is
magic.
the bridge real? I
The
mean,
bridge
can
is
you walk
real.
over it?
Yeah, the bridge is real. And when I went there this past summer, it was covered though because they were shooting some kind of Hallmark movie or something like some kind of Christmas movie or that. So you didn't get to
Okay.
see it. Like it was just covered in like this big like balloon type tent thing. So I was like, man, that's what I really want. The bridge is almost like its own character. Like
Mm.
people love the bridge. So
Um, did you did you notice in the scene in the beginning when Nathan stole the school bus, the girl that kisses him is Melissa Claire Egan?
no, I did not
Yeah.
notice that. Okay.
I knew that she was in that scene, which is why I wasn't gonna rewatch the pilot because I figured I knew it off the top of my head, but I ended up watching it and I was like, "Yep, that's Melissa." Because I knew she was in it because she's posted things before, and I think it's just like a well-known thing. But yeah, Melissa Claire Egan that plays Chelsea on The Young and the Restless, and she used to play. I think they refer to her as Crazy Annie on All
Mhm.
My Children.
Well,
I love her. She's one of my favorite characters on The Young and the Restless, but we'll talk about that on the Young and the Restless episode.
I missed Bevan. Bevan wasn't in this episode too. It's like,
Bevan, I don't think shows up till maybe mid-season.
but the reason I'm mentioning Bevan is because I love the character of Bevan. She's so just lives in her own little world. But
I've
I
seen Bevan in like a teeth whitening commercial.
I have a friend who is friends with her, and
Oh,
she,
cool.
she says she's real like it's someone I met through this higher ed conference that I'm part of. But she said Bevan is really sweet. Like they were in the same sorority or something like that. I'm not sure what
Oh,
it was, but
nice.
Bevan, I was like,
I think she was a local that was
yeah,
like kind of cast as an extra, and then that's what I love about One Tree Hill. The small characters have
are
the potential to become bigger characters later on.
well, even I have another friend that I know through this hired conference. They're from Texas, but we have like a district that where certain states are together, and we make up a district that we have conferences and things like that. She's from the town where they Honey Grove.
Honeygrove. Oh,
Uh-huh. She
the high school that won that
yeah, that
prom
won
thing.
that prom thing that I'm still upset about because I
Were
uh,
you in high school then?
No, that's why I couldn't win
it. Why are you mad? You weren't even in high school.
Because they should have been my age. So our prom should have been together. So I was still very disappointed. I can hold a grudge. But Her Town won that, and she was in middle school though at the time, because she's a few years younger than me. So she got to see the cast there, got all that. And I was like, was it everything magical? And just, she's like, it was really awesome. I was like, you could have lied to me, so I wouldn't have been,
You bitch.
I was just like, oh,
I'm so happy for you, but you're a bitch.
Because I keep I went to school with a guy who he went to the college in Wilmington for a little bit, and he was an extra in one of the things or one of the episodes. And I'm like, why do I always know these people who are interacting with my show?
Why are they living my best life?
Yeah, they're living my best life, and I'm stuck here in a small town, Arkansas, just having to watch this and watch these people live this wonderful.
They don't even care. They don't even appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm like, you wouldn't have been the extra I would have been. Nah, they're wonderful people, so that's great. But I'm still a little part of me is like, I wish that could have been me.
All right.
And then
let's go back to the OC, because I feel like we're mostly just talking about One Tree Hill, even though we said that the OC had the better pilot. So one thing I credit this show for, well, both shows actually, is the music. I definitely was introduced to a lot of music that I never would have heard before, because a lot of the music that they played wasn't played on like your everyday radio station.
There's actually, I think the website still exists. It's like One Tree or othmusic.com. And someone has went through every episode of One Tree Hill. And
oh yeah, I've made playlists on my iPods based off of that.
Just get a little
but I've done it with the OC too, back in LimeWire when I used to get viruses all the time from downloading music.
Something that's wrong, Tommy.
That was my punishment for doing something illegal.
you gave your computer,
and every time I would get it fixed, whoever fixed it was like, "Don't download LimeWire," and I was like, download LimeWire." I was like, it'll be different this time. I have new antivirus.
You were a kid. You didn't know what you were doing.
I was not. I was 20-something. So
now it's really frowned upon.
I mean, I was in my early 20s, if that makes it better. But
okay. Well, back to the music, where I purchased mine legally so that everyone knows. At least we have this good cop, bad cop thing. No, I'm just kidding. I still think One Tree Hill has the better music, though. And I say that too because a band that I think it was Led Zeppelin, they let that song in season 3 play, and I think there's only one other show they did that with, and that was The Sopranos. So for them to let a teen drama use that song, like their song, and I can't imagine. There's only one song on all the DVDs that have been replaced, and it's the one at Peyton or Lucas's wedding. NXI, or what's that band called? Never Tears
Apart. No, I know what you're talking about. In the 100th episode at Lindsay and Lucas's wedding, and they changed it for the DVD, the NNXS song. I don't know what song it is. I just know the band.
I think it's Never Tear Us Apart, but the song they replaced it with, I like better.
I don't even remember what the original song was because I just don't.
I have the the song they swapped it with still on my phone. I love that song.
So you like the replacement song better than the original?
Yes. Okay. And I typically don't like that. I don't do that, but because I'm one of those people that can watch my show on a DVD and go, you replaced that song. Like Roswell did that with a lot of their first, which it was either replace the music or not be released on DVD. So I'd rather it be released on DVD. But they replaced some of the music on that show with songs I didn't care for.
They did that with 90210 and Melrose Place. They kind of just used stock.
I know.
Music.
I mean,
it wasn't really an issue for me with 90210. Although in season 5, they kind of cut out a lot of Ray's performances, which annoys me. Because I'm like, he was a regular cast member. Why wouldn't he give them the right to just use it? Like,
was he playing
whatever? I noticed in the later seasons when they had guests in the Peach Pit, they kept the performances. Like Christina Aguilera was on. That's still on the DVD. It's because they they didn't know there was gonna be DVDs.
Yeah.
They hadn't, because now I think they work it into the
Oh
contract.
yeah.
There's one scene in 90210 that I do notice. Actually, there's two. When when Dylan and Brenda break up in season 2, Losing My Religion was playing. So that's a noticeable attraction that I hate because I love that song. And then there's a song in season 3 where Dylan and Kelly are on the beach, kind of still sneaking around. And it's a song, I don't know the exact name, but I know the chorus is Damn If I Was Your Lover. And that's changed, so that always kind of like makes my eye twitch a little bit. But so I'm glad that with these newer shows, they actually have it worked out with the DVDs. I think now DVDs are starting to kind of fade away with streaming. But I think at one point they worked into the actors' contracts that they had to do like interviews and like extras for the DVD releases, especially with the CW shows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and with the music from these shows, I felt like after they aired, they started to play, maybe because they were so popular on regular radio stations, some of it. And when I hear a song that was on this show, it takes me back to the scene.
Oh, yeah. And it
I'll be like, oh my God, this is when Peyton and Lucas did this.
Like,
oh, this was playing when Marissa died.
Chasing Cars by Snow Patrol is one song that always takes me back to Lucas or to Haley and Nathan's wedding in season 3.
Yes. I was confusing that. No, because I was confusing that with How to Save a Life, and they played that, I think, on One Tree Hill, but I also associate that with Grey's Anatomy.
they share. I mean, it's not like one has the rights to the song or something, but like they had songs that you could. I'd hear
on both shows.
And then I would hear it on Grey's Anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I liked it better on One Tree Hill, though.
There was a couple of songs that were on both One Tree Hill and the OC. I can't remember more than one right now, but Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm. That was actually on One Tree Hill too.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I thought you were saying that.
Yeah. It was on the OC. I was saying it was on both shows.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Grey's Anatomy. And
oh no. Sorry.
Getting ourselves.
I should have been more clear. Yeah, I actually really like Mia's version of it.
Oh, I liked her.
I liked her too. I liked her and Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like Chase and Jana Kramer's character. I can't remember her name. Alex.
Oh, yeah.
How can I forget that? Because there was a whole storyline with the two Alexes, the boy and the girl.
Alex Dupree. Which isn't her. I don't think that's her actual name, like her character's name. That's her character stage name.
It's like a stage name.
Yeah, in the show, it's something. It was something crazy. I mean, you don't hear it much, so that's why.
Yeah.
Just remember it.
So, my favorite character from the pilot episode of the OC, I want to say Summer because she's my favorite character throughout the whole series, but she really only has like 3 scenes.
I was gonna say she's not in it that much.
Yeah. I guess Ryan.
I was gonna say Ryan's mine too, because just it's so sad he plays that part so well.
Yeah.
You can tell he just wants that family connection. And
I remember when it first came out, they were making a big deal that he was like 25 playing a 17-year-old. And I'm like, this isn't the first time this has happened.
I mean,
like,
goodness.
A lot of a few of the guys on 90210 were like almost 30.
I mean,
like, why is this
Dylan? Dylan, that was Dylan. He was older than.
I was like 25. That's young.
That's typical.
Yeah.
Which it's almost like, well, then go watch Grease or watch Jawbreaker because they have like 30-year-olds playing the teen characters.
Yeah. I enjoy Marissa. Maybe because she's so toxic.
I mean, season 1. Season 2 and 3, Marissa. Well, I guess the only 2 other seasons she's in.
I enjoy her more when she's spiraling out of control.
Yeah, she's really good at doing that.
Yeah. I just feel like she really leans into it. Not to bash Paris Hilton, but I feel like she kind of becomes like that party girl. Like,
see, I thought I was going to be upset when Marissa left the show,
mhm.
but when they put Ryan with Taylor, I was like, oh my god, that's my
Yes, and this is why I feel like the show could have went on at least one or two more seasons.
There was talk of the CW picking it up, but they never did. I really wish they would have, because I think
Yeah,
it would have been more successful on the CW.
that's a show though because of how they ended it. I don't really need them to reboot it because they did like a time jump with like
Yeah.
certain characters getting married and like we kind of saw what their future was. Julie graduated college. I felt content, kind of like Dawson's Creek.
Oh
Like you
yeah,
said, I just don't need a reboot of that unless they're gonna remake it with new actors playing those characters. I could probably be down for that in maybe another 10 years. I don't need it right now.
yeah, because my favorite character from Dawson's Creek, I think, is Jen, and if Jen can't be in it, no.
um
But One Tree
my
Hill,
favorite characters are Joey and Pacey. I think I like them both equally, like separate from each other and together, so I can't really pick one.
I
It became Joey's Creek in season 5 anyway.
was it ever Dawson's Creek? It was always Joey's.
Yeah, they kind of started to phase him out
They
in like
were
season 4.
there was talk of them doing a spinoff of Joey like being a teacher at Cape Side, and I don't think it would. I wouldn't have probably cared for that, but
Yeah, me either. All right, I guess that's all we
oh
could
well,
say about the pilots, right?
yeah, because now we're talking about revivals, and and
Yeah.
I would if One Tree Hill came back. Oh my gosh, I'd be so happy.
I would be hesitant if One Tree Hill came back,
But
just because, like I said, season 8 was really boring, and I felt like they were like scraping for storylines. But it's been long enough where I feel like if they wanted to continue it with Jamie and then just have them be like the parents, I'd be cool with that.
see, that's the thing with one. Like I let One Tree Hill get by with a lot of stuff because I love the characters and the characters' development. Like
Mhm.
when the dog ate Dan's heart,
Uh,
it's completely crazy.
that was like a Melrose Place
Yeah,
moment.
which on the back of the season 1 DVD is like we haven't had a pleasure this guilty since.
Guilty since Melrose Place,
Right?
yeah.
I was like combining my two favorite soaps. Yes. So that's why I let One Tree Hill, like Melrose Place, get away with so much just because I love the characters. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Queers and Soaps. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias. We're out there on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, listen to our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That's it from us. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.